Hey guys, what's up? Magic in the Basement back here today for the last deck in the series of four of the new Commander decks. Um, the Nature's Vengeance, the Kitty with the Stick, Lord Windgrace. Alrighty, in my other videos, this will I will be trying to give some upgrades for this deck, show what's inside of it, do some upgrades. The upgrades will be relatively cheap. Now, that being said, this is a Land Matters deck, and I would be remiss if I didn't mention Crucible of Worlds as an upgrade. Now, granted, this has been reprinted. And it has come down in value since that, but it's still hovering around the 15-20 buck range, so it is a little bit more pricier than other cards. But what it says is 3 mana, colorless artifact. You may play land cards from your graveyard. It's very simple, and in a Land Matters deck that's got a lot of graveyardy mechanics to it, I have to at least mention it. If you have it, I'd put it in here. If not, there are plenty of other upgrades that you can use. All right. Um, Now, this isn't normally my colors. Like, I thought I would have a problem with this deck because I don't really play green, red, and black. You know what I mean? I'm more of a control player. I like my blue. I like my white. I do use black some, but generally as in a combination or a few kill spells here or there. Like I said, I'm more of a control-y player. So I thought I'd have issues with this deck, but as I looked through it and looked through some of my upgrades, I saw so many cool cards that I really overlooked, you know what I mean, in my time as playing. And that me seeing that actually made me want to use this guy. Um, so after I show you the upgrades for this deck, I plan on making a deck with Lord Windgrace as a commander. I'm going to build it from the ground up. So if you're interested in that, after we show the upgrades and show what's in here, leave it in the comments, and I will be happy to show you what I put in it from the ground up. Also, another note mention on this: this is a Lands Matter deck. So I normally leave the mana bases alone, but I have to mention fetch lands for this deck. Yes, they are a little bit more expensive, but if you have them, oh my god, they make this better. Because, so much landfall happening. You get to crack the fetch. They have cheap fetch lands here, the ones that come into play tap. I think they call them slow fetches or whatever. But if you have the rare ones, that would be helpful. I normally say, don't worry about it, that they don't make a big difference. But in a Lands Matter deck, they would make some difference. But anyway, let's pop her open and take a good look at her. I have my perfect fit and my sleeves for the foils because, like I said, when foils hit the air, they turn into Pringles. And I want to keep my foils, as crisp as I can for as long as I can so that I can keep them playable. So what I do is I double sleeve them instantly, and that way the less time they have in the air, the less, particulars, the less moisture they accrue, and the better they stay. Like, I got a from the Vault 20 for the foil Jace, and even while I was, putting his foil into double sleeves, the others started to curl. Just keep that in mind. You get the big oversized card. I put that aside. I never use those. All right, it comes in the oversized box with no art. Inside, you get the how-to. Tells you a little bit about, Lord Windgrace, stuff like that. It's common stuff. Inside, you have the oversized box and the deck. I'm sorry. I think they could have put some art on these boxes. My thoughts, at least. Alright, let's look at the deck, see if it's curled. Nope, I got lucky on these ones. None of them have been curled in the pack, luckily. But, you know, I have gotten, you know, if you've watched some of my videos, I've gotten product that's been curled in the package out the box. Alright, so here's the deck. I'm going to open her up and then double sleeve the 3 foils because I want to keep them fresh, like I said. So give me a second to do that. Pull the tab. Alright. Toss that aside. Mr. Windgrace. Oh my. Just as soon as I opened it up, he's got a little bit of a curl in it. Just opening it up. Maybe the deck was a little curled. I don't know. But these foils have a very slight bend in them already. I don't know if it was just being released out of the, you know, the packaging allowed the curl to happen, or if it was just instantly hitting the air they curled. I doubt that part. I think they were probably curled a little bit in the package, and just when they were released, it was able to fully realize that curl. But I don't like it. Don't like it at all. Granted, double sleeved, they're perfectly playable. They won't be noticed. But I'm just very particular about foils. That's why I don't care for them personally. But yeah. All right, we got them in there. Now, when we do upgrades for this, like in the other videos for the set, I'm going to be focusing on the Planeswalker as the commander. All right. There are other commanders in the deck in those colors, but for these videos, I'll be focusing on the Planeswalker just because I like the idea of it. Now, let's read Lord Windgrace. 2 mana, black, red, green to cast, 5 loyalty, +2, discard a card, then draw a card. If a land card is discarded this way, draw an addition. You may draw an additional card. Oh, no, I'm sorry, that's not a May ability. It's just draw an additional card. Okay. -3, return up to 2 target land cards from your graveyard to the battlefield. Now, I like his minus because it says 2 target. It doesn't say basic. So you can pull out anything, fetches, shocks, whatever. Even non-basics like, you know, Strip Mine, Field of Ruin, stuff like that. Okay, -11. Destroy up to 6 target non-land permanents. Then create 6 2/2 green cat warrior creature tokens with Force Walk. Pretty fun, pretty fun. Alright, then we got Thantis. Big old spider dude. He's 6 mana. 3 black, a green, and a red. 5/5. He's a legendary creature spider. Vigilance and Reach. All creatures attack each turn if able. Whenever a creature attacks you or a planeswalker you control, put a 1/1 on Thantis the War Reaver. Not too bad. I don't care for it. So I will be taking Thantis out. Alright. Then we got Gyrus, I think it is, Waker of Corpses. X, black, red, green for a Hydra, legendary Hydra. So hey, if you ever wanted to do some tribal Hydra, there you go. Gyrus, Waker of Corpses, enters a battlefield with a number 1/1 counters on it equal to the amount of mana spent. Whenever he attacks, you may exile target creature card with less power from your graveyard. If you do, create a token that's a copy of that card and tapped and attacking. Exile that token in the combat. How do I feel about that? I mean, he's pretty cool, but I don't think it works for this deck, personally. I mean, yeah, he gets big. He makes, you know, I don't know. He doesn't have any landfall. Doesn't have any land shenanigans. So I'm going to take him out too. Alright, then we go to the tokens. I like these. I've liked these so far in the other decks because they're thicker on the regular Magic card paper, and they're not on normal token paper, and yet they're double-sided. Alright, you get some dragon eggs. That's cool. And when you flip the dragon eggs, they're the dragons that come out of them. I like that. I wish they had more than 2 of those. Alright, then we got some Thopters. Alright, we've got some Thopters here, basic Thopters. Alright, you flip one, you got a Cat Warrior. And then the other is an Elemental. And then some plants, some beasts, and some worms. Cat Warriors, beast. I wish they would give you more plant tokens. I'm sure I have some somewhere, but, you know, I like plant tokens. Alright, now let's continue. We got one of the Loyal in the black colors. There's one of each of these for each color in the decks we've looked at. This one's Menace at the beginning. If you control your commander at the beginning of combat, each opponent loses 3 life. I'm actually going to leave this one in there. That's not too bad. I'm going to take this one out. We saw this one in the Saheeli deck. Creates a servo. Don't feel servos work in this deck. Just my thought. Oh, here's the green one. Haven't seen the green one yet. Or I have, or might have overlooked it. At the beginning of upkeep, if you control the commander, put a 1/1 counter on each creature you control. I'm going to keep that only because I know there's plant token makers in this deck, and that'd be pretty cool to, you know, put 1/1s on them at the beginning of every upkeep. Alright, let's see. This one. Landfall. Whenever a land enters the battlefield, you choose one. Target creature gets 1/0 until and death touch until end of turn. Each opponent loses 1 life and you gain a life. That could be pretty dang powerful, and with Ringgrace, because you're going to be dropping lands out with its minus all the time. I like that. It's only an uncommon. Alright. Return target creature from the graveyard to your hand. Threshold, return target creature from the graveyard to the battlefield if you got 7 or more. 2 mana, that's not too bad. Good old Acidic Slime. Another landfall guy, 6 mana. It's a beast, 4/4. Landfall enters, blah blah blah. He gets 4/4 and trample whenever a landfall. That could be pretty devastating, especially when Ringgrace puts 2 as -3. He puts 2 mana on the battlefield, so this guy would be getting 8/8 and trample, so make him a 12/12 until end of turn. Alright, this guy, he enters about each player discards card. Each player discard a card this way. You may search the library for a basic land and reveal it. But yeah, I don't like that because it works for everybody, and we'll take that out. I mean, if it was just you, I understand. But yeah, when it says each player, that could help them. You know, I don't like it. Alright. Basic destroy artifact or enchantments. Now this deck has a lot of ramp in it, but it's a mana ramp. I'm sorry, land ramp. It's not like artifact ramp. Although Soul Rings in here, I have Soul Rings in every precon, but it's got a lot of these, You know, it's got a bunch of just land ramping, basic land rampers, which are good. Don't get me wrong. Especially when a land matters deck, you want to have your basic lands for your ramp, not like artifacts. Another a land fetcher. Put top 3 cards in graveyard. A Miller. Mana ramper. Alright, here we go. Yeah, these cards actually do have a little bit of a... I don't know if you can see that, but out of the pack, they do have a slight curve on them, a slight bend. So maybe once I took them out of the pack, they did release the curve on them. You know, it's another mana guy. This is like land searchers. I'm not going to go over every land searcher. but there's plenty of them in here. Alright. An enchantment at the beginning of each end step. If a creature died this turn, you may draw a card. Not too bad. Some card draw. Kill spell. Just kind of basic stuff. Kill a damage spell. And there's the Sol Ring. Told you. Here's a land. Yeah, that was separating the uncommons from the rares. Okay. There we go, Vampire. Great Vampire. Don't like it in this deck, so I'm taking it out. Alright. Try to see if I focus in on that. Yeah, when you cast a spell, copy it. I've noticed each commander deck has one of these, like one of the spells that's, copies it for each time your commander's been cast. I kind of like them. This one, when you copy it for each blah blah blah, copy instant or sorcery spell, you may choose new targets for it. That's not too bad. I mean, if you're putting it on a burn deck, burn spell, and you've cast your commander a few times, that could be pretty powerful. Oh, I do like this one. This one is one of my new favorites. He's a flying dragon for 5 mana, 5/4 flyer. But he's got landfall, and whenever you put a land in play, you get one of those dragon eggs. So each time you put a land in the play, you get a dragon egg. And the dragon eggs, when they die, they turn into a dragon to a fire breathing. 2/2 dragons with fire breathing. I really like this guy. This is an interesting one. It kind of swaps a permanent for another permanent of the same type, but lets you mill through your deck until you find it. And it, not mill, but because they would go in the graveyard. But it reorders, I should say. So if you only have, like, say, 2 artifacts, and you transform one artifact, it pretty much searches for the next artifact, you know what I mean? Could be pretty powerful. I'm going to take it out, though, because I just don't feel it has a home in this particular deck. I do like the card, though. Oh, wow. 5 mana for a 5/5 trample, and he gets +10/+10 as long as you control 10 or more lands. Pretty beast for an insect. That's one big bug. This was one of the guys that makes plant tokens. Like it, I like it. It's very cool. You can also sacrifice creatures to get lands back from your graveyard in your hand. This guy's pretty awesome. 6 mana. He's a Lizard Hydra. 4/4. But when he comes into play, you destroy all creatures with flying. And then he gets 1/1 for each creature destroyed this way. Now, that's pretty awesome. I like it. Especially like if you're playing against, if you're doing the decks out of the box. The enchantment deck has that enchantment that makes all creatures you control have flying and everybody else lose flying and can't gain flying. So if they do that and they have a bunch of creatures out, this guy just gobbles them all up, including the one that makes them flying, and he just gets really big. This card's awesome. I see this being a staple. 5 mana for a kill spell. It's an instant. For any number of opponents, destroy target non-land permanent that player controls. So if you got three opponents, you blow up 3 things that aren't lands. Instant speed. So that's very powerful. 3-for-1. Very, very powerful. Alright, this one's pretty cool. Sleeper Agent. A lot of people have talked about this. 3 mana. When you cast it, you give it to somebody else, and then you can use her ability. Anybody can use her ability to burn that player that has control of her to draw cards. Pretty cool. Um, yeah, this card could be have decks made around her. You know what I mean? A lot of people want to use her as their commander. You know, so that's pretty cool. Um, yeah, and it's a good mana sink. You know, so if you got a lot of mana, you give this to somebody, you can sink all your mana into it to draw cards and kill them. You got Avatar. Death Touch. Return 3 creatures from the graveyard to your hand. For, what is that? 5 mana? Yeah. Alright, and then it's 5 mana exile. So Innistrad from the graveyard. 3. So it's a recycler, recursion, and he's pretty big with Death Touch. Here's one of the guys I've been looking forward to using. Avenger Zendikar. He's been around for a while. He's been avenging. And in this deck, he's going to be pretty powerful. When he comes into play, you get a 0/1 green plant for each land you control. When you landfall, those plants get +1/+1. Yeah, 7 mana. But in a ramp deck, that he's going to become that quick. And he's powerful, and he's scary, and he just gets scarier. Think about it like this. He's got 7 mana, so say you ramped him out, you know, turn 5 with 5 lands on the field. Not too bad, you get 5 plant tokens. But then you -2 Wind Grace. They all get +2+. I mean, you -3 Wind Grace. So they all get +2/+2. And then you drop a land for your turn. That's +3/+3. Those plants are now 3/4 plant tokens in 1 round. Now, if those 2 lands that you brought back with Wind Grace or fetch lands, yeah, you're looking at like 5-6 plant tokens in 1 turn. Just saying. Great card. Oh, my tokens are running away from me. Alright. Look at the top 5 cards to your library. For each card, you put a card into your graveyard unless you pay 2. Wait. Look at the top 5 cards of your library. For each card, you put that card into your graveyard unless you pay 2 life. Then put the rest into your hand. Okay, so you look at 5 cards, you get to pick which ones you want at the cost of 2 life each. I think this is a decent card. I don't think this is a decent card for this deck. I'm going to take it out. So, what is that? 1, 2, 3, 6, 7 cards we've taken out so far. Alright. 3 mana, destroy a creature or planeswalker. Kill spell. Okay, what is Awaken 4? Awaken 4. Pay 7 mana. If you cast a spell for 7 mana, also put 4 1/1 counters on target land you control. Becomes a 0/0 elemental with haste. It's still a land. Okay, so it's a kill spell that has an opportunity to make one of your lands into a creature. Pretty cool. Oh. Chain reaction. Basic burn spell. Another dragon. I like it, but I mean, it's just a dragon with fire breathing. I don't know. I'm gonna take it out. Oh, I haven't seen a split card in a long time. Alright. 2 mana for 2/1. You may put a land card from your hand on the battlefield. If you control 10 or more lands, flip him. Alright, when he flips, he becomes a 3/3 with pay 6 and tap it, create X green, an XX green elemental where X is the number of lands you control. Not too bad, pretty good, pretty good. And 10 lands is not very difficult to get in this deck. A plant centaur. Oh my. Talk about your mixture of creatures. Plant centaurs. Trample, enters battlefield, or 1/1s for equal number of lands in all graveyards. That's pretty cool. When a land is put into your graveyard from anywhere, you may pay 2. If you do, return him from the graveyard to your hand. Pretty cool. Here's a big boy. Another big insect. Oh my god, do they not like kill insects when they're babies? They just let them grow. 7 mana for 8/8 trample. When he dies, exile it. Return 2 creature cards from random from your graveyard to the battlefield. So when he dies, he exiles and randomly gets you 2 different creatures back. Could be cool. Could be cool. Here we got the Baloth. 6 mana for 6/6 trample. Landfall. You create a 4/4 beast token. Here, Scut Mob. 1 mana, 1/1. Beginning of your upkeep, if you have 5 or more lands, put 4 1/1 counters on them. Just another insect that can become huge. Lots of huge bugs. A worm for 7 mana for 6/6 trample. When he deals combat damage to an opponent, you may remove what? You may return target card from the graveyard to your hand. Not too bad. And he's got trample, so you're going to get that trigger more often than not. Alright. Another destroy. Got some good destruction in this deck. Another destroy, but it's variable. Another damage. A variable one. Another one that's got, XX for lands. Pretty good. This one's an awesome one. This one is very awesome. 5 mana. Create a 1/1 black and green worm creature token for each land card in your graveyard. And this got retrace. So you can play it, discard a card, and play this again from your. I'm sorry, discard you can play it from your graveyard by discarding a land. Got tongue tied. So 5 mana. So if you've got 5 lands in your deck and your graveyard when you play this, you get 5 worms. But then if you discard another land and you can play it again, get 6 worms, etc., etc. You get worms galore. If they board wipe, this is still playable again from your graveyard. As long as you got a land to discard, you can play this as much as you want, and the worms will just run over people. Landfalls, Dun Sundial. Us is pretty basic. Landfall, you can pay 2, draw a card. Now here we go with some lands. They give you some rare lands in this one. Sack creature, draw a card. Basic. Go through the basics, get them out of the way. Basic. Alright. Bunch of basics. Comes into play tapped, gain a life. Cycle lands. Cycle lands are pretty good, especially in this deck because you could draw cards and have them in the graveyard for Windgrace's minus to bring them onto the field tapped. Very good for this deck. Utility land. Juka Bog, always a favorite. Command Tower. Poor Man's Fetch. Cycle. Bounce. Basic. Bounce. Utility. So they got some, pretty basic dual lands and stuff. And here's the slow fetches that I was talking about. They come into play tapped, but then they work as just like a regular fetch land. This one is also kind of like that. Comes into play tapped, but you can pay 2 and sack it and get 2 basic lands into play as long as they share a name. So like 2 force, 2 mountain, 2 swamp. Some bouncer comes into play tapped. Temple False Gods. That's actually a pretty good one in this deck. Another fetcher. Yeah, pretty basic. Like I said, if you do have fetch lands, this would be the deck I would recommend for them. Because this one, it would. Fetch lands are good in every deck that you put them in, but in a Lands Matter deck, they get like extra utility out of it by far. So if you got them, use them. It's my opinion, So yeah. Alrighty. Now, when I was looking for upgrades for this deck, I found a lot more than I expected. So I'm just going to show them off. I'm talking out 3, 6, 7, 8. I want to show way more than 8 out of it. But let me look through, find 2 more cards to take out for you, just for the sake of, having 10 out like I've normally done. There was, let's see, honestly, I would say every deck should have a Soul Ring. But honestly, in this one, I'm going to take Soul Ring out. I know that's kind of weird, but, it has a lot of acceleration. I mean, some of you guys might be saying I'm crazy for it, but it's got a lot of land base acceleration. So I'm going to take that one out. It's number 9. Alright. And then I'm going to take out I don't know. A lot of these are pretty good. I'm going to take out the Sleeper Agent. No, I'm not. Because if you get a lot of mana, she's a great sink. Yeah, this is kind of rough. Alright, I'm going to take out the Salvage. The one that's look at 5 cards, get a creature, put the rest in your graveyard. So I'm going to take that and take that out. Alright. Now, like I said, I got way more than 10. So some of these are just going to be, honorable mentions, just as an idea of some of the cool stuff that you can do with this deck. Here we go. Like I said, I mentioned the Crucible of Worlds already. So, here's a good one. World Shaper. Try to get it more focused. There we go. 4 mana. When he attacks, you may put the top 3 cards of your library in your graveyard. When he dies, put all land cards from your graveyard on the battlefield tapped. So if you sink a bunch of lands into your graveyard with his ability, his discard ability to draw, you can get them all back when this guy dies. Pretty good. Alright, Hour of Promise, 5 mana, search for your library for up to 2 lands from on the battlefield. If you got 3 deserts, and this is 2 lands, it could be any land, it doesn't have to be basic. And if you have 3 deserts, when you play it, you create 2 black zombies. 2/2 black zombies. Not too bad, pretty good. It's better if you put some deserts into the deck. Just saying. Um, Now I'm gonna mention these. Like you can, these are cycle lands from the Amonkhet. They're pretty cheap. They work. You can be. They have the name so like Swamp Mountain on them, etc. So they can be fetched out if you have fetches. But I'm mentioning these mainly because they're cheap and they're cyclable. So they can go into your graveyard if you have plenty of mana just to draw cards, and Windgrace's thing brings them back on their battlefield, etc. They have pretty good value for this deck, and they're cheap price wise. Now that was an honorable mention because you could put those in. So I'm just not going to say, hey, that's one of the upgrades. So yeah, there we go. Wayward Sawtooth. Sorry, I only have a foil to show. He's 3 mana for 5/5. You can't attack or block unless you have the Ascend, which isn't a big deal. His main thing is you can play an additional land on each of your turns. So you can play, if he's out, you can play 2 mana a turn. Here's one I really like. I think it's underrated, but in this deck, I think it's pretty good. 3 mana. Till your next turn, all lands you control become 2/2 elemental creatures with reach, indestructible, and haste as still lands. So yeah, this could be a game winner. If you're down to the wire, they become indestructible with haste and reach. So that's awesome. So you got a bunch of lands on your board. Play this, just run over somebody. Pretty good. Now, if you could give them like trample somehow, even better. Now, speaking of if you could give them trample somehow, there are planeswalkers like Nessa that give things trample. There's what is it? Overwhelming Stampede, stuff like that. You could easily put in here, but like I said, I'm gonna try to keep these to about 10 cards for the upgrade. So that's 1, 2, 3. We're already at 1, 2, 3, 4 cards. Here's one that I really like. It's one from Dominaria, so it's pretty recent. 6 mana. This is a Reach Trample, and it's +1/+1 for each land you control and each land in your graveyard. So this thing can be pretty huge. And then it's got pay to return 2 lands you control to your hand, and then return this from your graveyard to your hand. So if it ever did die, not only do you get to put 2 lands into your hand to use to discard to draw cards with him, but it comes back to your hand as well. Great card. Then we have a Planeswalker. Like I said, there's a bunch of cool Planeswalkers you could use. But I like this one because it's not that expensive. And its +1 is untap target land you control until your next turn becomes 5/5 elemental. It's still land. Like I said, it's weaponizing your lands. Then it's got return target permanent from your graveyard to your hand, which could be a land if you need it. Then it's got an emblem. Whenever a land you control enters the battlefield, draw a card. So it's pretty much says landfall, draw a card. Pretty good. What else we got? How many is that? Because like I said, for this particular deck, I found lots of cards I liked. That's why I want to build it from the ground up. So that's 6. Alright. Here we go. Here's a good one. Number 7. This one is you mill 2 cards off the top of your library into your graveyard. You can return a creature from your graveyard to your hand. Now, Sagas work. When you play them, you do the first thing on the turn it's played. On the second turn, you do the second thing, which in this case is the same thing. And then on the third turn, you sacrifice it. You do the third thing, and then you sacrifice it. But the third thing, in this case, is pretty strong. It's return all land cards from your graveyard to the battlefield. Then shuffle your graveyard into your library. pretty powerful. Alrighty. There we go. Here's another great card for this deck. And all these cards I'm showing are very cheap. This one, you may play an additional land card each turn. Return target land, then you pay a green or red. Return a land card you control to its owner's hand. Target creature gains trample. So remember I said that other creature, if it had trample, you know, boom, there you go. You can give something trample. What is that, 8 or 9? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8. Alright, so 2 more. Okay, I had to stack upgrades because, like I said, I'm gonna build a deck with this guy. So I had a bunch of cards. Here we go. Here's a cool one. This is actually one of the promos I gave out to my patrons at the tournament I ran. But this guy, when he enters the battlefield, look at the top 5 of your library. Put a land card from among them onto the battlefield tap. The rest at the bottom of your library in any order. Pretty good stuff. And then Jadelight Ranger. Now I like her because she's cheap and she explores. Now exploring this deck was very good in my opinion, because what Explorer does is when this card explores, you reveal the top card of your library. Okay, if it's a land, you put it in your hand. Otherwise, you put a 1/1 counter on this, and if it's not a land, you put a 1/1 counter on the creature, then put it back or into your graveyard. Okay, so Explorer is very powerful for mechanic because it gets your lands in your hand or makes the creature bigger. Not like Jadelight because she explores twice when she comes into play for 3 mana. So she's either going to become a 4/3 or give you 2 lands into your hand. So that's my 10. Alright. Now I'm gonna, these other 3 cards I got are honorable mentions, I guess. Like I said, Sagas. I like this one because it deals 1 damage to each creature without flying on turn 1. Turn 2 you get 2 red mana, so it's a little bit of a mana boost. But I like the third one. Sacrifice a mountain. If you do, deals 3 damage to each creature. So it's got a sacked outlet for your mountains, so you can get them in your graveyard for various things and bring them back with Windgrace if you want. So, but if they got a lot of creatures or a lot of big creatures, you can just burn them out. Alright. Now, these are in a category I like because they're the flips from Ixalan. That, you know, they're enchantments, but then you do something and they flip and they turn into what? Lands. So this one, for example, whenever you cast your 3rd spell on a turn, transform it. Now, when you transform it, a land comes into play, so it would trigger landfall. And it's coming into play, so it doesn't count as your land for the turn either. You know what I mean? Because you're not playing a land, it's coming into play. So you could play a land and still be able to transform one of these in the same turn. So you could technically get 2 lands off of that landfall. Alright, so it's pretty good. And they each do various things, like this one when it flips, you get, you know, you can burn stuff. This one gains life. When it flips, there's ones that create tokens. And then there's like the Gaia's Cradle one in green. I don't have that. But those are something to think about because they're the flips and you get lands out of them. So yeah, lots of cool stuff you could do with this deck with him as your commander. To the point where I was impressed enough where I'm going to make a deck with him from the ground up. I hope you guys enjoyed the video tonight. Let me know, out of the 4, which one was your favorite video? Which one was your favorite deck? Did you like the upgrades? What upgrades would you do? You know, give me some feedback. Let me know what you'd like. Let me know if you want to see the Ninja tribal deck I did with the humans, Let me know if you want to see the deck I make with wind grace from the ground up. Let me know these things, and I'll gladly show you guys. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll be trying to do some more stuff for you guys in the near future. Give me feedback. Let me know what you guys want to see. Do you want to see more openings? Do you like the magic talks? Do you like the deck tech stuff? Let me know, and I will do my best to make more videos around that topic. That being said, thank you guys for watching. Thank you guys for subscribing. Thank you guys for visiting my Patreon. Just thank you guys for everything, all your support. You guys have a great night, and I'll see you next time.